piece that I wrote about Tim was printed in the LA Times today that made, basically the premise was to say that in our American history that I know about, that without civil disobedience acts, with people like Martin Luther King and John Lewis, who's presently a member of Congress, without their committing acts of civil disobedience, we might very well have African Americans deprived of their rights to vote in this country. We might, in our own nation's capital, have people of color have to use separate toilets, sit in the back of buses, separate drinking fountains. Without acts of civil disobedience, there might be still lynchings in parts of our country. That this acts of civil disobedience have been honored for a long, long time as part of something very special in America, because there was a distinction made between being a common criminal and walking across a line. But now with the changing of the law, so it's more severe and draconian, if I step across this line in the wrong situation, at Fort Benning or some places where there are military installations, it's a felony. And the reality of that change has kind of encapsulated the kind of non-caring mean-spiritedness that's so prevalent, that instead of respecting people, even if they differ with you, in the way that we respected people who went to jail in the anti-war movement, in the civil rights movement. People died in that era for their principles, to make this country free. And now we're talking not just about freedom, we're talking about a sustainable, livable world. When I was with my daughter at Clearwater, we were doing an homage to Mary Travers, and we were talking, just singing songs people asked for. And she started talking about all this, and she sang, and you've heard it, some of it, her Native American prayer. And she broke into tears. She said, my daughter, I want her to be able to grow up and have a baby someday. And for her, this was not hypothetical. This is a huge cloud of great destruction that awaits us if we don't change course. What Tim has done is potentially going to wake up this nation in a way that we must have an awakening. And his sacrifice is not about the charges brought against him. His sacrifice is about somebody who, like the people in the civil rights movement, who knew that they were going to get beaten or set upon by dogs, who knew that they might be killed, like Goodman, Cheney, and Schwerner, went ahead and put their lives in jeopardy and their liberty at stake. DeChristopher, a huge debt of gratitude, because he will trigger. He has begun to trigger, and we will carry it forward. There's a song that I want to sing a bit of. I never died, said he. I never died, said he. The copper bosses killed you, Joe. They killed you, Joe, says I. Takes more than guns to kill a man, says Joe. I did not die, says Joe. I did not die. It takes more than mean-spiritedness, lack of recognition of the humanity and heart and dignity and commitment of Tim DeChristopher to take the momentum and the heart and the spirit out of what he has instilled in our bodies. I've been part of the civil rights movement. I've been part of the peace movement, the women's movement. I've seen what has been done in the face of enormous odds. We will persevere. And we are not at all going to be daunted by what happens today, whatever it is. My prayer is that there will be dignity in the treatment of Tim. My prayer is that soon, though he wasn't allowed to mount a defense of necessity, that he had to do this to prevent a greater harm, which was essentially what happened, that people will be the big jury one day. The big jury that knows that he was indeed right, and more than right, and courageous. And whatever happens, our job is to persist.